So I found this interesting article. I hear politicians talk about student debt relief or canceling student debt all the time, and I did have a thought in the back of my mind, like, okay, that's something a progressive politician would want, but is this going to be a one-time thing, like just like reparations, like a one-time thing, or is it going to happen every 10 years? Because unless you change the system completely, nothing much is going to change. And finally, I saw this article. Committee for Responsible Federal Budget has this chart, and boom, look at that. They are assuming behavior is not going to change, and actually, it's probably going to get worse because if all the student debt is how do we get into this predicament in the first place? Well, it has something to do with the government giving out these loans that you can't default on, and yeah, doesn't matter for what major, doesn't matter your employment opportunities. They just give out tons of money, and the only thing that keeps prices low is for people's ability to pay. What would happen to rent prices if the government guaranteed, I gave everybody $10,000 or $20,000 per month for rent? Obviously, landlords would jack up the prices, and this is pretty simple. This is exactly what colleges are doing. It doesn't take an economist to figure this out, and that's why the real solution, super unpalatable one, is cut all these student loans. Make so one, you can default on student loans, and two, get government out of subsidizing education. Now, would people still be able to go to school? Of course, but they'll just have to borrow way less money. Colleges will have to do with much less. And anybody could argue that they probably should, if people want to go to this crazy, get this college experience where you get like rock climbing walls, giant college football stadiums, and sushi lunches. Well, you could pay $80K a year out of your own pocket, But if you just want to get some education, there's no reason to spend that kind of money. All you need is a teacher, some books, a class, like a place. You probably don't even need that, if you can meet virtually, probably don't even need a classroom. But yeah, so student debt is 1.6 trillion now, and here's the statistic right here. Debt would return to 1.6 trillion by fiscal year 2025 if 10K per borrower was canceled. 2025, okay, 4 years. Debt would return to 1.6 trillion by 2030 if 50K was canceled. Debt would return completely if all debt was completely canceled by 2035. So if they have any chance of reform, a progressive government would really have to, one, cancel the student debt, and maybe the more politically difficult thing would be just to get rid of all these for-profit. First of all, kill these loans, and either, I guess, make colleges free. Now, they probably won't be able to nationalize Harvard and Yale, but they would have to have their own free colleges, because I don't see what the solution. You can't if you forget student loans, I think it'd be unconscionable to not change the student loan program where people could still borrow the same amount of money, unless you're going to have a debt jubilee every 10 years or whatever. But then, if students know in the back of their head that this debt will be eventually canceled, and the colleges know that, well, they'll keep hiking tuitions. They'll keep lobbying for increasing the amount that people could borrow. So all this is a horrible idea. Just college is even a pretty bad idea for everybody anyway in the first place. It's becoming clearer and clearer that A lot of things that most things that people learn in college aren't related to, don't really, people forget almost immediately, don't build any real job skills. It's just a ticket. It basically, just think of this experiment. If the colleges didn't give away a diploma, would people voluntarily go for personal enrichment? Uh, Probably not. Probably there was only a couple percent that would actually do it. So you mean to tell me that people actually retain knowledge that they had to sit through? I mean, if you didn't want to learn this stuff, if this is not like, if this is not voluntary and you're actually excited about this topic, chances are you're going to forget it pretty quickly. And if you any kind of survey, if you survey, poll people, regular people, man on the street, ask them basic science questions, ask any kind of basic history questions, half the question, like half of the simplest questions people can't answer, and that just makes sense. So yeah, I think college should be reserved for people who actually really want to learn this stuff, and even that could be cut. The price could be cut by 90% by just having either you rent out a empty storefront in a strip mall for almost next to nothing, get some books, have people come together, read the material, discuss it, or you can have this you can have an online, like a digital book. You can have a professor, online meetings. There's absolutely no reason to pay $100K. I mean, maybe in certain rare circumstances, if you want to be like a doctor or like some formal education, like a lawyer, that's but everything more, most of everything else, pretty much useless. Yeah. So the article concludes: a short-term fixed or structural program. We've previously shown that student debt cancellation would be regressive and it would fail to stimulate the economy in this new analysis. Here's the thing too. Apart from the complete moral hazard, I mean, government is supposed to do things that individual people can't do. So technically you pull together, like maybe you want a nuclear submarine or something, right? You want to plan out a sewage system. But why would private people, hardworking people who had to do without college or working at a trade like a plumber or electrician that would learn on the job, why would they be taxed and their paycheck reduced to pay for some middle class kids philosophy education? I mean, this is completely unconscionable.